I got cringe bumps just now. There's no way these guys don't know that he was at the wrong Dairy Queen, right? Like, there's no way they don't know this yet. It's been days that we know that this idiot went to the wrong DQ. Lead Stories representative visited the Orem location on September 19 and confirmed that it was possible that the photo did show Robinson at that store on the day of the shooting based on the Superman poster in the background. The Orem location is not closed. Like, there's no way that these guys don't know this, right? So I wake up this morning and one of you guys sent me this video and are saying that this dude is basically using fake information, false information that we know is false, to continue to spread this conspiracy theory surrounding Charlie Kirk and Tyler Robinson. I want people to at least have the correct information so that they want to come to their own conclusions, at least they have the right information to do so. But I have no idea what this guy's going to say. I don't know. We'll see. We're going to find out. So let's get into it. Let's see what he's saying.
I want to start at the beginning. We're going to figure out we're not going to figure it out because the case is fucked up, but is this kid really the shooter?
I don't know how much this case is really fucked up. I think people are fucking it up really bad. I think people that are spreading false information and continuing to do so are fucking it up, but I don't know like how fucked up this case is.
Potentially being the shooter. The first one that I want to start with is him. Let's start with actually the 30-06, not necessarily the ballistic side of it, but now from what I'm hearing, Alex, I don't know if you've heard this 30-06, which we'll pull it up. It's the famous photo that everybody knows. I'll bring it up here right now for the viewers. Stand by 1 second, guys, as we get this pulled up. We all know it, right? It's the nighttime black in the box 30-06. Let's take a look at this, guys. So we all know this photo. And what I started noticing about a week ago was that when the FBI came out, Alex, and said they had Grandpappy's old World War I 30-06. And I'm looking at this rifle and I'm going, that's synthetic plastic. It's composite stock with a stainless steel barrel. That you can buy that at Walmart.
So he can tell just off of this picture that that's a stainless steel barrel? And the fact that it has a synthetic plastic stock means absolutely nothing. Why does it mean absolutely nothing? Because there are all kinds of aftermarket stocks that you can purchase for these old World War I era sporterized Mauser 98 30-06 rifles. And it's not hard to put these together. You have two separate pieces, basically. You have the stock of the rifle, and then you have the receiver of the rifle, okay? And I'll show you a quick video. Okay, here's this channel, USOG. This dude just does a quick demonstration of how not only a Mauser 98 comes apart, but pretty much how every bolt action rifle, for the most part, comes apart.
Easy to take down a rifle or shotgun. They tend to be quite long. And when people want to, to go on horseback or in the boot of a car, as they say in the UK, takedowns are always popular. It's easy. So this is a Mauser. Typical bolt action. Take out a couple of screws. So this is pretty long, as you can see. Take out a couple of screws. Everything comes apart. So there's your whole package. Probably looks a little longer than it needs to because I opened the action. And
that's it. That's all it takes to break down a Mauser 98. That's all Tyler Robinson would have had to have done. Just a couple of screws that attach this part of the receiver right here and the trigger mechanism into the stock. The free float barrel, he wouldn't have had to take anything else apart to be able to conceal that on his person. Let's go back.
This cannot be Grandpa. Got 6.
There is a 0% chance that it's Grandpappy's World War II.
For my understanding is these guys are military. Okay. Be careful, guys, with just assuming that because somebody's military. I'm not trying to shit on anybody in the military at all. I'm just saying, just because they have that, don't assume that everything they say is correct. That's with anybody. I don't care who they are. I don't care what their background is. Check it out for yourself. Look into it, see what makes sense and see what doesn't. But the fact that these guys are I'm assuming they probably don't. I don't know. It's tough to say, but it's really hard for me to believe that they wouldn't know this about pretty much your most basic rifles.
Rifle.
And I have, you know what's interesting is I have Grandpappy's old World War II 30-06. My grandpa jumped into Normandy on D-Day. This is his rifle. And as you notice, it's very, very different, guys.
It's not a Mauser 98. So I don't know what his point is here. There's like it's all kinds of synthetic aftermarket stocks for a Mauser 98. It's a sporterized Mauser 98, 30-06.
All made of wood. So this is how Grandpappy's old World War I relic looks, not Walmart brand. But what's it? So
this is my problem with guys that are trying to tell you that the official story doesn't add up. If he's being like real and authentic here, yeah, I can understand why the official story doesn't line up, because he doesn't have any idea what he's talking about, I guess. If he's not aware of these things, which isn't hard to be aware of. You can Google this and have the answer to that in just a few minutes at most. So I can see why this story isn't adding up for a lot of these people.
Now is the FBI has now walked back this picture.
Have they?
They're saying now, we never said this was the...
If you guys can find me any information that says that the FBI has come out and stated that that photo that they released is incorrect, please let me know. This sounds made up. I could be wrong, but this sounds like he heard somebody say this and then is just repeating this, because I've seen nothing that says that this picture is not correct. If the FBI has come out and said that this photograph that they released to the public that was helpful in identifying Tyler Robinson as the shooter because the father recognized it, and Tyler Robinson even admits that in the text messages, if the FBI comes out and says that that is incorrect, they are then telling the public that every text message that they showed is also incorrect. I can't imagine that this is true, because then the FBI is just saying that everything they put out is pretty much a lie. So please, somebody find me the information that says from an FBI source or an authority source that this picture is incorrect. I seriously doubt you will find it, because if you do, then we can call bullshit on this entire thing.
Rifle.
Oh, that was just an example. That was they were showing an example, I guess.
There's no way that this could be an example, because this picture, according to those text messages, is what helped the father identify the possibility that Tyler Robinson was the shooter. This is not an example. This can't be an example. This, according to the official story, has to be the rifle.
Supposedly now this was leaked. And then what it seems to me it happened is like people like me and you came out and went, this is not a World War I relic rifle. And and the FBI maybe goes, oh shit, like
what,
we can't have that be the rifle now. So I don't.
The FBI maybe goes? Did the FBI say that's not the rifle or not, dude?
I don't know what rifle that is. But apparently there's a second 30-06 that's floating around in the nether.
There's a second 30-06 that's floating around in the nether. What is he talking about? And I'm having a really hard time holding back and not pushing against this really hard, because I'm paying pretty close attention to this, and I've seen nothing about a second 30-06 floating around
That carried this out. I want to ask you, I mean, I've done ballistic tests on this. As someone who's treated 18 Delta trauma medic, some of the best trauma medicine doctors in the world, high-powered rifle rounds on human beings. I mean, what's your thought process on the 30-06 round from 139 yards not creating an exit wound on a human neck?
Yeah, and that's it's we all hear bullets do weird things when they hit stuff, you know, and everyone knows the story of the guy that he got hit and it wrapped around his head and went out, but not with a 30-06 from inside 200 rounds or 200 yards to the neck. Like there's just not a chance. There's not a chance that it doesn't exit, and not a chance that when it does exit, it's a massive hole.
So would you say?
Okay, guys, this is. I'm not saying this one. I don't know, and I don't think most people know. And the reason we don't know, or we can't be certain on any of these claims with that 30-06, is we have no idea what the round was. None. We don't know if that's a standard 30-06 round in that rifle. We don't know if that's some type of light hand load used for small game. Comes from a hunting family. It's very possible that they have hand load rounds that are intended for small game. Let me show you a video, and I'll link it down in the description, of just some hunting guy who makes hunting content on YouTube showing a subsonic hand load round for a 30-06 that he made, and he shoots 2 tiny little water bottles, and the water bottles don't explode. They don't. You'll see.
Welcome back. Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, I'm actually going to go ahead and subscribe to this guy. This is Apex Predator Outdoors. All right. And the video is 30-06 small game loads. I'm just using this as an example so you guys understand that we don't know what rounds were in that rifle. So it's really hard to determine ballistics on information we don't have.
Let's talk about some small.
And you guys can watch this video. I'm just going to get to the point where he takes this hand load and shoots these water bottles with it. All right. Feel free to take a look at the video for yourself. I'm not skipping. I'm not editing. This is all the same video. There's no huge explosion. The water bottles barely move. It punctures through 2 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of plastic and some water. Not bone, not human tissue. We don't know what rounds were in that rifle. So to absolutely say that there would be some giant exit wound on Charlie Kirk because the rifle used was a 30-06, in my opinion, is you just can't make that claim without knowing what rounds are used.
We're talking like a standard 30-06 standard round. I say 0% chance.
With a standard round, probably, yeah, I would say it's, I don't know if it's 0%, but it's a pretty low % chance that there's no exit wound. But we don't know if it's a standard 30-06 round. They have not given us any information on what round was in that fucking rifle.
Create an exit wound.
No, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
not even a 0.00 Powerball's chance.
Aside from being Wolverine, no, it's the neck, a small piece of, yeah, no, it's not. A little vertebrae is not going to stop a 30-06.
And we can also discuss the Martin Luther King Jr. assassination for everybody that's going out there and saying that a 30-06 would have blew his neck out. Or all of these ballistic videos on ballistic gel dummies and stuff, which is not representative of actual human tissue and actual human bone and human organs, okay? Martin Luther King Jr. was shot in the face from a 30-06 rifle. His head didn't explode. His face didn't blow up. He had an open casket. Feel free to look that information up all by yourself. So these claims that a 30-06 rifle would have taken Kirk's head off or blown his neck out is just not, it's just not factual.
I'm going to pull this next video up because I think it's important when we're talking about, is this kid the shooter? This video shows him from every angle coming up the stairs in that stairwell where he supposedly, keep in mind, guys, he's got a 44-inch long gun somewhere.
The length of this rifle keeps getting longer too, I've noticed. At first it was, I don't even know. I heard like 40 inches and now it was 42 inches and now we're going to 44. Pretty soon, I have a feeling this Mauser 98, Sporterized Mauser 98 is going to be like a 60-inch rifle. We just keep growing. Rifle just keeps getting longer and longer.
Some people tried to say, oh, well, it was up, the buttstock was up his back, right? And then the barrel was down the back of his leg, so it only made him limp a little bit.
Okay, so part of the official narrative, for my understanding, is at some point, I think they claim that he has a screwdriver, right? They find a screwdriver. I believe that's part of the official story. And that he had to use that to assemble the rifle. If we go back to the video that I just showed and the video that I done showing how he could have concealed this on his person, he would only need to separate those two pieces. That's it. You just remove the stock. He could very well have the stock on the back, which is not going to go down to the leg, and then the barrel, which would go down to the leg. And you could put that on your back. You could have that backpack on. That's going to conceal any type of printing that either the barrel, the scope, or the stock is going to do. I understand that these guys have like formal training and military training, but if this kid wants to shoot somebody and he wants to get to this roof with a rifle, where there's a will, there's a way. You're going to get it done if this is what you want to do. There's no other way for him to have that rifle to get to that roof than to have it more than likely separated into those two pieces with the barrel running down this leg right here on the back and then the stock somewhere else in his back. And you can secure that very easily with either a belt or a couple of straps. It's really not that big of a deal or hard to do. So if you go with the official story, that has to be how it's done because he's not fitting those parts into his backpack. He's not breaking, you know what I mean? He's not going to remove no. If he's going to do this, he's going to separate the stock from the receiver, which has the barrel and everything else attached to it. Not impossible at all. I don't know why these guys keep saying this is impossible to do. It's not, it wouldn't be comfortable. Like it wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be a good time, but he only has to walk probably less than a mile to get to this rooftop from where he was parked. So at most 15-minute walk. No, he's probably not having a good time, but if somebody's determined to get to the roof, to shoot somebody, and to be as unobvious about it as possible, like you're going to figure out a way. He's just limping in videos for no reason. Like, is he trying to pretend to be the shooter? You know what I mean? So he's just limping across, like, I don't.
But when we watch this, there's some problems with that. We can very clearly see he's got no 30-06 with a giant scope in his skinny jeans in the front and the side of his legs.
It wasn't a giant scope either.
With that amount of bend, it's not in the left pant leg either. I mean,
yeah, no,
if it was down to his knee, it'd be sticking out the back of his waistband. I mean, it's
right.
Like,
I saw some arguments that said it's in the back, it's on his back, and it's going down the back of his leg. But let's watch this video.
Let's watch it.
Let's look at this.
Go ahead and show the back video of the kid, or the back photo.
Okay, here he turns.
I'm assuming that's what he's gonna do.
And then,
well, that's weird. There's a backpack in the way, kind of blocking any type of view we would have of anything printing on the other side of this backpack. It wouldn't be sticking up here if he's got it broke down into those two parts. It very well, the barrel and stock would probably be somewhere in this area, or the barrel and scope would be somewhere in this area. And the stock could very well be right here or even down to this part. But you wouldn't see it's, you know what I mean? It's not a massive barrel. It's a fairly thin barrel. You wouldn't see like this giant printing happening. And everybody's claiming that he has skinny jeans on. They're not skinny jeans. They look like your typical just standard straight leg jeans. Oh, let me go back.
Which is, I'm going to say no more than maybe 20 inches. He's got a broken down 30-06. That's what has to be the case.
Yep. I agree.
For him to get it to the roof, because he doesn't have it on him.
Now, when he says broken down 30-06, I don't know what he means, but I can't imagine that he means the stock removed from the receiver. You'd keep everything else together. You'd keep the scope mounted on. You'd keep the barrel and everything, the receiver and the trigger mechanism all together. And then you would just separate it from the stock. That would be broken down. And it's only 2 or 3 screws to reattach that. And you know how long that would take? Maybe a minute at most.
Well, the problem with that is the barrel itself is 22 to 24 inches.
It's not a problem.
The barrel's not going to fit in this backpack.
No, none of that is in the backpack. The only thing he probably has in this backpack is a towel, the screwdriver, change of clothes, and a hat. It's probably the only thing that's in this backpack.
Right? Am I crazy here?
No, absolutely not.
So, I mean, Alex, do you think you could even fit like a short barreled 10.5 inch AR-15 in this tiny little backpack?
I don't know how long they're going to stay on this backpack. It's not in the backpack.
This break it down, reassemble it, break it down. For those of you who don't know, who've never broken down
that's another thing. This break it down, reassemble, break it down. I don't know where this came from. I've tried to find any official story from an authority's mouth or from paperwork from the authorities that talks about him disassembling the rifle after he shoots Charlie Kirk. As far as I can tell, that's not a thing. That's not real. That's somebody's like talking point. I don't know if that came from some type of speculation from somebody on the media or if it was just an internet thing. But this continues to spread. And from everything I can tell, that's not part of the official story in any way, shape, or form.
Happy's old 30-06, which we have here. For one, it takes a long time. 2, you need a vice clamp to put it in. You need multiple tools. You don't
To completely break down that rifle and, for instance, separate the barrel from the receiver. Yes, you would need a vice. Yes, he's not wrong. You would need a few different tools and it's going to take you time. But that's not what he did. The disassembly is just removing the stock from the receiver. That's all you would need to do. He wouldn't need to do all that other shit for this. So I can't tell if they're just making points or if they're being intentionally ridiculous. You know what I mean? I don't know. I've never seen this dude's content before. I have no idea, but I don't think he's doing this intentionally, but I also don't, it doesn't feel like he's putting much like objective thought into it. Like he's just making a joke about it without actually thinking about it.
Don't just wing your way through this in 20 seconds and just build this thing.
Because he doesn't want to believe the official story. I'm in the middle. I'm trying to figure out where the truth is and where the lies are. And I have to be honest, I see more lies coming from people who are trying to push a conspiracy theory than I do with the official story right now. That could just be because the people pushing conspiracy theories are putting more information out than the officials are. But I'm seeing more lies from people like this than I am from the authorities.
Out and rebuild it. It's not a thing. So for me, this is a huge problem because if that's the images of him going to the roof to take this shot, where's the fucking gun?
The only place the gun could be if he has it on his person in those photos, is broke down into two pieces. I mean, maybe he could have that whole thing not broken down at all, but then I don't know where the need for the screwdriver to be out of that backpack on the roof would be. There's no need to have a screwdriver there. The only reason that there would need to be a screwdriver left on that roof is if he had it out to reattach the receiver to the stock. So that's the only reason. So if he's got those broken down, then it's the only place it could be, which I've already described 30 times.
You got any?
I got nothing. Nope.
You got nothing. Chat. We got anything? Where is this rifle? So if he didn't take it to the roof, which again, supposedly he goes up to the roof, he changes his clothes, which I'm confused about because he's already in supposedly the clothes he changed into here in this picture we just showed. And then he reassembles this rifle. He takes the shot, and I don't know if we know officially yet where he allegedly changes his clothes, but with all the camera footage that we have of Tyler Robinson earlier on in the morning around 8 a.m., we know that he's in a different outfit than he is when he's going to the rooftop to do the shooting. So at some point he changes his clothes. As far as I know, we have no specific information detailing when or where he does this, but it's sometime between 9:57 a.m. and 11:44. Sometime in between there is when he changes his clothes. actually don't know if I have the footage. We've all seen the footage of him running off the backside of the roof 100 times, right?
Yeah, that was the video when everyone was like, I think he's a trained pro. And I'm like, did you see his dismount off the back of the building? I think we can rule out trained professional.
Yeah, all right, that's who's this dude? Alex that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
I think it's the idea.
He was just, that's it. That's another one I've never even bothered to point out. Like, just based off of him getting off of the roof is legit, but I would say the shot placement is a pretty good indication that he's not a trained pro. But yeah, all right,
that kid
that's funny.
Is a trained professional based off of, you know, he crawls up to the edge of the roof, right? So everybody can see him highlighted and silhouetted.
I don't know. I don't know if they've showed us exactly how he gets onto that roof, but if you go and, well, here, hell, I can pull it up. I don't know if this is how he gets to the roof or not, but if we look right here, there's just a staircase right here that leads up to the fucking rooftop. Like, can't make sure you guys can see this right here. There's just a fucking staircase right outside that you can just walk up, and you get up onto this walkway and you can just walk your happy ass right to the rooftop. I don't know if that's how he got up there or if there's another way up there. I just came across that and was like, huh.
Shot. I mean, do you think this is a trained no, now, again, I don't think this is where the shot is taken, and that's what we're going to get into next. But like, just from this kid, what you're seeing out of this kid, I don't think nothing screams like professional out of this kid.
No.
So if we look at this, there's a great video. Now we talk about, let's say somehow we don't know how he got this 30-06 to the roof, because we've just shown it makes no sense how he got it up there. But let's say he's got the Houdini backpack and he pulled this off. He got it to the roof. Well, the ballistics on this, and this is a fantastic video that was done by a channel. Let's pull it up. I don't know if I showed you this one already or not, Alex, the gentleman who did all the sort of pathology and ballistics on this. This video from Peak Prosperity, it's got a ton of views, analysis. He essentially shows and breaks down through, not my opinion, through math and physics.
Here's the problem with this guy's video, and I could be wrong. I'm not even going to say it. Doesn't matter. But the problem with this guy's video is we have no idea the velocity of that round. We don't know how fast or how not fast it's traveling. You know, he makes the claim this shot with a 30-06 blows out the back of the neck virtually every time. Never say never, I guess, but the odds are simply too low to seriously consider. I don't know. We don't know what rounds were in that rifle. So for him to even be talking about angle of entry or anything like that, I just don't think we have enough information to be able to determine any of the stuff that he put out.
So that angle appears to me to be pretty accurate. I went over, checked your work, looked at it. I think you did a dang fine job. There's one more angle that we need to look at, and that would be the angle of his body and his neck. So we know that that projectile ended up entering his neck somewhere around here-ish, right? And if you'll notice, that angle on your neck is just a little bit different, right? It's almost at a 45 going back over towards the back, or maybe a little more, maybe a little less. So we've got that 10 degrees to add to whatever degree his neck was sitting at if he was forward. Now, if he was slightly to the side in any direction, that's another angle that we have to account for and add on to that. And there's a reason I bring that up. When you're talking about terminal ballistics and projectiles impacting targets, they are flying through the air. Now, unlike what you had talked about, have foot-pound, right? So there we actually have a bunch of weight behind it that's going to drive that into the object, right? Because we have this weight that's set and it's driving it into the object. In this case, we have the kinetic energy of it as it's flying through the air, and there's not really any weight behind it. And so all of this kinetic energy is flying. Now, what ends up happening when you end up having, and grab like a sheet of paper here, see if I can make this a little bit easier for you guys. If it's flying straight on, all of that kinetic energy is transferred directly into that target. If it's changed just slightly, what ends up happening is we end up having it bite in one side. So as you're looking at it here, it's going to end up biting in on my right side, your left side as you're staring at me, or maybe it's vice versa on camera. I forget.
You're right.
And it's going to cause it to yaw, and it's going to cause it to turn inward in this case as it goes in, as it bites, because the full force on the outside is still being applied while this side's meeting a little bit of resistance. This is what we end up seeing when, we're shooting through windshields and things of that nature, right? Because it's at a curvature, and so when that projectile hits, it's going to bite in and it's going to yaw up and it's going to direct itself going downward. We see the similar effect go into bodies. When we end up adding in soft tips, we have an entirely different issue that we end up having to account for, right? Which is it going to be enough to actually cause it to expand? One of the things that I noticed in your video that you were talking about was damage to the CNS, right? Or the central nervous system in particular. And I'm not a medical doctor, don't get me wrong. Might know a heck of a lot about ballistics, but when it comes to that, I'm going to leave that up to you. That's entirely there. But what we know about fluids, right, is they're not compressing. This is why we have brake fluid. That's why we have everything. And it's the same thing that goes in the body. So when we see that ballistics gel open up and then shrink back down, what we're actually looking at is the hydrostatic shock, is what it's commonly referred to. Basically, that projectile displacing fluid and displacing meat as it's traveling through the body, along with the shock wave that goes into it, causes it to open up. So, and it would be a question for you, with it entering in the body right there and knowing that we're not compressing those and it's going up, and you're absolutely right about the blowback of the round coming back out through the hole in the neck. Do you think that there's enough hydrostatic shock in this case in order to cause damage to the CNS in that location in order to make it happen?
I've been through a lot of rounds with doctors because there's several who have said, listen, in all their experience, one guy who's a neurologist, knows way more than I do about this stuff, and said, look, if you're going to have that decorticate posturing, that happens only when you get damage to the midbrain, specifically above something called the red nucleus. And so I was asking, could we have that hydrostatic shock? Could it have pushed material back up through the opening in the brain pan back there where your spinal column exits? So could that account for it? And they said if they did that, he would have gone what's called decerebrate. He would have just gone limp because it would have ruined all of the neuronal connections. So it's an open mystery how we get that posturing given the wound damage we saw. And in particular, if, we just saw Stephen Gardner and also Alex Jones had said that they had heard from somebody inside TPUSA that his C2 through C6 vertebrae were absolutely smashed and the bullet was located at the T1. I don't have confirmation for that. I'm waiting. But I've heard that, and all of a sudden I have a lot of questions that come up around that, because that really complicates all kinds of stories that we have right now.
Well, then you're driving shock into the CNS directly, which would travel up and down the spinal column, correct?
Yes.
So then we could possibly look at it. Now, the interesting part about this, I remember somebody that ended up getting shot in the arm from about 20 meters away-ish. And that projectile was an AK-47 round, actually penetrated his arm and then rode up the bone before it worked its way around into the back side of him, and ended up coming to a rest there. So when we start talking about external ballistics, there's a lot of different factors. that same angle that we talk about for the left and right, we also have to account for an up and down. So as we're looking at that coming from an upward to downward angle, and when we start taking that account, and where is it going to bite and what's it going to do? Well, that top is going to end up touching a little bit, and it's going to cause it to yaw just ever so slightly, in addition to that inward yaw that we're going to end up get off the angle of his neck as well. So essentially what I'm saying is, from my perspective, the way I look at it as that projectile enters is it possible for it to have yawed and turned into center of his neck? Yeah, I do believe that is possible. I do believe that, and the other thing that we got to talk about is that kinetic energy that you mentioned, for that particular projectile. That variable that we don't, well, two variables really that we don't know is, one, what the muzzle velocity of that projectile was, or what the velocity of the projectile was when it entered into his neck. And the other thing we don't know is the grain weight of that projectile when it went in. Those are the two factors that are going to end up giving us the actual, kinetic energy that projectile is carrying. All of that kinetic energy that it's carrying, like you said, up to 2,000 to 3,000 foot-pounds, I believe, is going to end up getting dumped into that target. Now, if it passes clean through, we're only losing a fraction of that kinetic energy within that target. So it's a transfer of energy into the target. It's not created or destroyed. It's just constantly changing, right? So it's there and it's just changing form. So what that energy is doing is it's transferring in there, and it's getting lost in the meat. It's getting lost in that body. So those 1,500, 2,000 foot-pounds, whatever we're going to be dealing with in this case, all got transferred and went in there. And if it ended up, obviously it would have bled off a lot before it ended up hitting, from the front of the neck to the back of the neck to hit that spinal column and then start traveling and working its way down. To me, when I see that if that is true, that what you just stated from TPUSA is true, and it ended up impacting the bone and then working its way down, that's very feasible based off of things I've seen in real life. That's not something that I think is very far outstretched. The only problem that I have is the actual velocity of that projectile, because I agree with you. If that projectile would have been fired at full speed, it should have theoretically gone all the way through. I'm in a complete agreement with you there. The question is, what's the projectile? What's the ammo that he was using? What's the status of the barrel? What's the conditions? I mean, there's so many variables that we don't know.
From the beginning, I've always thought it looked like an entry wound. Just the way that it reacts. It's like you see the shot, everything kind of like it stops for a second, which happens when someone shoots. All the vessels kind of retract for a second, and then everything releases. Why it kind of looked like maybe he got.
Okay, so far, I feel like Alex is being honest. He's just reacting to the information that Nate is providing, and I feel like he's being genuine.
And then when that stuff comes out, when an exit wound comes out, it's blowing stuff out with it. Right. It's not like here's a little hole shows up and then some stuff. No, it's like everything's coming out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you've ever shot anything,
I don't know anything for sure, but I would say, in my opinion, I think it's an entry wound.
Entrance wound.
Yeah.
I do too. I think, and I'll pull it up here in a second. The cavitation in his neck. I want to talk about that next.
Yeah, and I did this when I did my range day bro video. I talk about this. What he's talking about is the cavitation. It's the energy that's coming off of that bullet creating expansion. Okay, you can see when Charlie gets hit, his whole neck puffs out. And that's because of the energy coming off of that round. So that tells me alone that it's not it's a pretty high powered round that's hitting him. It's not it's not a little 22 LR or something. It's a good size round that's moving at a pretty good speed. Definitely creating a good size cavity as it's entering him.
You can see sort of the cavitation blow out in his neck. I think to the point where a lot of people thought that was like blood that blew out back behind him, but
yeah. And this, I'm going to skip ahead of this. I already did this already with Range Day Bro when he put that crazy video out. That was wild to me because for my I got attacked so much for that video, but for my understanding is that he was getting this information. Like this wasn't his, he was getting it from somewhere else, from alleged experts. And the fact that they, just by looking at that, didn't even think that maybe that was a necklace, part of his necklace shooting off, just blew my mind. That they just ran with that and made absolute claims that this definitely proves that he shot from the back or from the side and that this is an exit wound. Like, that was wild how fast that went and how sure they were based off of what I thought was pretty obviously not what they said it was at all.
It turned out it was a necklace, I believe.
Yeah, it's a
I thought it
necklace,
was like,
yeah.
Which is it's like another check in that box of just because they're military or they're former law enforcement or whatever the case is, does not automatically mean that everything they say is correct. It doesn't mean that they know anything. The reality is, guys, is you're just as smart as most of these other people. Okay? You're just as smart. You can come to these conclusions just as easily as anybody else can. You don't need all of this experience to understand things.
the t-shirt stuff is driving everybody kind of bonkers about like, what does this all mean? Can you explain what the t-shirt and the cavitation in his neck and all that's happening for the viewer?
Yeah, I mean, when once the bullet makes entry, it's carrying a ton of energy. As soon as it hits anything, it starts to expand, break into pieces. It's destroying stuff inside, and it creates the force creates a gigantic cavitation, and as it passes through, it blows all that up and expands and comes back down. And so that's why people could be saying they see the shirt going as
I don't
the
think it's
effect
an
of the cavity.
explosion, but I think that what we see there is just the cross, the pendant of his necklace, just shooting up.
We didn't know there was the ability that you could have pager bombs until that just became a thing.
Yeah, so now I'm like,
I'm
Mike
skip ahead
bomb,
of
sure,
this,
why not?
Because the mic bomb and pager bomb thing to me is entirely too far-fetched. It doesn't make any sense. And I haven't seen any evidence, let alone enough, to convince me to start going down that rabbit hole. Maybe that'll change, but
when was he even ever mic'd up? Well, yeah, he is mic'd up, guys, because they do the show digitally.
when was he mic'd up? Okay, here's the video, guys, where you can see what looks like he's being mic'd up. So he's just got done throwing hats to the crowd, okay? And he comes over, and this guy, he's wearing the 1776 hat right here. You can see him. It looks like what he's doing is putting that mic on Charlie's shirt. So it looks like he puts the mic on, gives him a tap, pretty much telling him he's good to go with the mic, and then Charlie goes to sit down. We can't see it, so I don't know for sure, but that's what it looks like he's doing. Because we know that Charlie doesn't have the mic on prior to, right here. There's no mic there. But then as he approaches him, that's exactly what it looks like he's doing. Puts the mic on, gives him a tap, tells him basically, you're good to go, ready to rock, bro. Head on in. And then we see him, and then he walks over and sits down.
So bizarre, but we have to cover it because this is something that's really not been talked about other than my buddy Dan, Heavy Duty Country. This is his video that he put out. And when I saw this, and Alex, I know I showed you this already, I was just immediately like, oh, this is sketchy. So we're going to watch that. We're going to watch that next, guys. Just watch their hands, right? All these guys are supposed to be treating Charlie Kirk. He just got shot in the throat, in the carotid. As we watch this,
in my opinion, I would like to see more video footage and more images of that specific area where Charlie was to see more blood. So if you guys, if there's more video or better video out there that I haven't seen showing this, maybe a different angle after they run to Charlie after he's, fallen back off the chair, please send it to me. Cause I don't think we have enough information on this to decide whether or not anybody was down there treating him. If anybody had something plugged on I don't know. We really don't see much. I just don't see enough to be able to determine if this is like super strange or not. But I also don't like where this type of speculation leads, because now we're past the point of it's a conspiracy to kill Charlie Kirk to it's an entire conspiracy and Charlie's not dead and this whole thing is fake.
why was the crime scene never locked down? There was nothing done. And he was
Where are they getting this that the crime scene was never locked down? The crime scene absolutely was secured. They have 6 people on site, right? Was it 6 or 8 cops on site? Immediately after it happens, they've got this George Zinn guy who's screaming in the audience that he did it. You know what I mean? He's grabbing all of this attention. It took 16 minutes, according to Kash Patel, for the FBI and the chiefs of police to get there on site to secure the crime scene. So there's immediate chaos happening, and they think that they might have the perpetrator. There's at least some crazy old guy in the crowd saying, I did it. So they're going to be distracted. So, but they definitely secured the site. So I don't know where this is coming from, that the site was never secured, because it was. And it wasn't just that site. They had the wooded area completely secured off. You guys can go through and find all of these images. We've got crime scene tape that's put up. The site absolutely was secured. So I don't know where this is coming from.
like, yeah, they never locked it down. There's no investigation done. They just,
where are you getting information saying that there's no investigation done? I don't know where they're coming up with this no investigation done. We can see that it's completely secured off. You know what I mean? It's completely secured off. Crime scene tape. I don't know where they're coming up with this. Like, you're just saying things, right?
went about their business. And not only did they go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you could see it in some of the videos, like people walking up and like taking stuff off the table and walking away and stuff. It's like nowhere else in history. I mean, I won't say nowhere else in history, but like typically if someone gets shot,
he's shot.
Yeah, right after he's shot. They couldn't, they can only get there as fast as they can get there. Like, you think that would be more suspect if there were just a bunch of FBI and police there immediately setting up a crime scene after he shot. Like, right after he shot, if they're just all of a sudden completely securing and locking down the area, that would be more suspect to me, because that would mean that they were prepared for something to happen like this. If anything, the fact that this shit's not being locked down and secured immediately, it just shows me that this is a surprise.
Happens. The fucking university paving over the area.
I need a timeline on when they started construction. And I know that I don't think there's been any verification whether or not this is something that was pre-planned, right? This is a little suspect to me, but at the same time, there's plausible reasons for this. If the authorities, right, are processing this crime scene, that means they're taking all kinds of pictures. They're taking all kinds of video. They're doing their investigation. They're taking anything that they think in this area would be some type of evidence or could point to what happened. They're going through and processing this crime scene. The amount of people and resources that I would imagine they put on something high profile like this, it wouldn't surprise me at all, and I've said this before, that they process that scene relatively quickly. You know, I would think they were probably done processing it within days, just a few days, before they have everything that they need for this investigation. Do I think it's suspect that this is happening? Yes, but it's not enough for me to say that they're lying and there's a conspiracy here. It's just suspect. Add that to the suspect column. But once a crime scene is done being processed, they'll release the scene, meaning that you can go ahead, whoever owns the scene, wherever it's at, you can go ahead and, you know, take care of whatever you want to do now. It's been released. It is now up to you to do whatever you would like to do. But if you guys would help me understand what it is that in that area, what they're paving over the grass area where he was, what would they be covering up that the authorities couldn't have already collected evidence for? You know what I mean? Like what are they blocking that would maybe change anybody? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what any of that would do or how that would affect any type of evidence that the authorities would need to gather that they wouldn't have already gathered from that spot. So if you have suggestions or ideas on that, feel free to let me know. I just don't, it's suspect that they're doing it so quickly, but like I said, I don't know if that was something that was already pre-planned to have done or what, but I don't know that there's anything there that they're covering up with doing this reconstruction that the FBI and authorities wouldn't have already been able to collect enough evidence from.
Crime scene. We haven't solved the case, and they're just paving over.
So I don't know what he means by we haven't solved the case, right? Going off of the official story, the authorities believe that they have more than enough evidence to not only arrest a suspect, but to also charge him. So I don't know what he means. The investigation is still ongoing, I'm assuming, right? And they want to see if there's any other connections involved with Tyler Robinson, whether that be somebody else directly involved or a group of people. The investigation in that sense is still ongoing, but the official story, it sounds like they believe they have more than enough evidence to arrest and charge this kid.
What's so crazy to me is no one is questioning any of this outside of like YouTubers like us. Like,
Right.
No, if you go on Fox News, no questions.
I don't know why that's crazy to him. That doesn't surprise me at all. And to be fair to Fox News, they definitely wouldn't want to plant doubt in this story because the official narrative shows left-wing violence. So that really doesn't surprise me. If CNN or these other left-wing media outlets thought that there was a conspiracy, I feel like they might be pushing it because that would deflect away from the narrative that it's left-wing political violence happening. Or maybe they just are looking at all of these right-wing YouTubers doing enough of that work for them that they don't need to touch them. Like, oh, we don't even have to go out and plant doubt. These guys are doing it all on their own and pulling away from we're not hearing anything about left-wing political violence anymore. So, I mean, in that sense, CNN, MSNBC, they don't need to question it. You guys are doing it plenty for them.
Well, it just is. It's so bizarre. And even like you look at Turning Point and I'm like, he's supposed to be like all these people that worked with him. That's supposed to be your best friend, dude. If my best friend got assassinated on live TV and there was all this crazy, sketchy shit behind this, you could promise I would be dumping all the footage. I would be getting all.
I don't know that Turning Point, anybody at Turning Point USA is looking at any of this and thinking anything is sketchy. Some of these guys were there. Some of the things that you guys are putting out and spreading, they know whether it's true or not because they're there. We know that TPUSA, that dude from TPUSA, has that video cam footage of those cameras right on Charlie Kirk. We know the guys carried Charlie Kirk to the SUV and drove him to the hospital. There were people that were with him, that were on site, that know what Charlie looked like. They know what that wound looks like. They know how much blood did or didn't come out. They know who had blood on him and who didn't. You know what I mean? They have information that we don't. And the fact that they're not speaking out, in my opinion, says something. That they don't think there's anything shady involved.
Also, I lost my dog and stayed home for like 3 weeks without doing anything, you know? Like I wasn't like put my dog down and then I'm like, we're going to Six Flags this weekend.
Yeah, this kind of stuff I don't like because now we're trying to predict somebody's grieving process. You know what I mean? Like when we start getting into these arguments, I check out because people grieve differently, man. I've lost close friends to really horrible situations. And I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't shut down. I kept going. In fact, I dove into work and dove into trying to be around people just to, because if I was alone, it was just miserable. So like anytime we start going into talking shit on people because you don't think they're grieving how you would grieve, you lose me. You lose me right the fuck away.
Party, you know, like
2 days later, just like,
anything.
yeah, whoa, cool, let's keep going. This is awesome.
No, I don't. No.
Literally quoted, "I'm so excited." Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? And again, everybody grieves differently, but if it was me,
No, you don't get to do that, dude. I mean, that's not fucking cool, bro.
he stops for a chicken strip basket and a blizzard at at Dairy Queen. Okay, yeah, sure, because
This is a super recent video, and he's still running with this being 16 minutes at the Dairy Queen after the assassination. We knew that when this DQ photo got released, like within the same day, that the timestamp is 6:38 in the afternoon. How does he not know that? I don't know if that photo is legit or not, the Dairy Queen photo. Like I said, I don't know that it's been confirmed whether or not that's legit. But if we're just going to assume that it is, that's 6:38 p.m. allegedly, not 17 or 16 minutes after the shot taking. And with new video footage out now, by the way, we know that we see Tyler Robinson's car in a store parking lot called Big Blue, which is roughly about 2.1 miles away from where we see the shooter running through that field area. I have a video out if you want to check it out that runs through that timeline and shows that there's a very, very, very high probability that that is Tyler Robinson in that location, and that it completely matches up with the time frame of him running and jumping off the roof to getting to his car to driving to that area. That's a really interesting video, and I think that that is just adds strength to the official narrative that Tyler Robinson did the shooting. But I don't know how this guy is running with this information still.
this is what assassins do. Rather than fleeing the area,
We know that he didn't flee the area. He was hanging around in the area because he wanted to go back to retrieve the rifle. At least if you're going to criticize the story, have the correct story and add that into your criticism.
back
Also, we know that he changed clothes. I feel like Tyler Robinson at this point is fairly confident. When we see him at Dairy Queen, I think the dude is fairly confident that he's going to get away with this. He's just focused on getting his rifle back. That's really the only piece in his mind that still is a threat to him being caught, is he needs to get that rifle back so they don't get the rifle.
to he lives 3 hours away. He stops for a chicken strip basket. Okay. So
This is-
also
If we see him pumping gas, right, which is out now, this by the time this video is out that this guy's doing, we know all this other information that he's spotted at that gas station at 7:15 a.m. on September 11th, the next day, which is still about, I believe, a half hour or so away from where he lives in that St. George, Washington, Utah area. So he's in this area for a long ass time. He stayed in the Orem area for a long time trying to retrieve that rifle, assuming that these timelines all connect. Dude's just not going to eat. We don't get that rifle image and the released photos of him, I believe, until early morning on the 11th, after we see him at that gas station. I'm pretty sure that the 7:18 or 7:20 a.m. they released the photo of the rifle, and then I think 9 a.m. they released the FBI images of him, of the suspect. So even at that point, when he's at that gas station filling up for gas the next morning, there's still nothing out that has him identified in any way, shape, or form. So he's probably not too concerned,
it gets even weirder with
other than the fact that he knows, right, that he wasn't able to get his rifle. So now he's a little worried, but he doesn't know that they have the rifle yet. For sure. He probably suspects that they found it, but he doesn't know for sure.
this Dairy Queen.
By the way, George Webb just reportedly showed that it has a closed sign now. It's been removed. Like
Yeah.
this Dairy Queen has just vanished. Watch.
Well, we're at 1545. Is that a Dairy Queen sign? Interestingly enough,
I got cringe bumps just now. There's no way these guys don't know that he was at the wrong Dairy Queen, right? Like there's no way they don't know this yet. It's been days that we know that this idiot went to the wrong DQ. Lead Stories representative visited the Orem location on September 19th and confirmed that it was possible that the photo did show Robinson at that store on the day of the shooting based on the Superman poster in the background. The Orem location is not closed. Like, there's no way that these guys don't know this, right?
It looks like it's been totally taken apart.
Okay.
That's strange.
Yeah, that's strange. And the location where Charlie Kirk was.
All right, so if renovating it right away, now he
no
stops
fucking way.
for
No
his,
way they're running with that, dude. And yo, this probably has hundreds of thousands of views on it. There's no way that they don't know this. If they're like looking into this, it takes all of 2 seconds to verify some of this shit.
his Blizzard and his chicken strip basket at a Dairy Queen that people checked right afterwards doesn't have anything inside it.
Oh my God.
So
I'm embarrassed for these guys.
Again, if like one of these 50 things happened, you'd be like, that's weird. But there's 50 of these weird.
You can't even get something as small as that correct, dude. I can't help but think they're intentionally doing this shit now. Like this is what makes me feel like they're intentionally doing this. You can't even get that right, bro. You can't get the Mauser 98 right. You can't get the Dairy Queen store being closed down as complete bullshit right. Like oh my God, I feel like I'm in clown world. This blows my mind. Listen, guys. All right. I'm not that smart. How
things, and it's just like this Dairy Queen just shut down. Like it just happened to shut down just right after this kid was in here after this assassination. What's your thoughts on the Dairy?
The fact that they're running with this, the fact that they're even pushing this and they're not aware, like I've got no confidence in anything that they say at all. Of like, how the fuck do you not know this now? Now, at this point in time, like this had people going for about 30 minutes when it first dropped until people were like, yeah, no, that's the wrong Dairy Queen, bro. It's been days since when was this debunked article published? The 29th. Like, and you're still running with this? Holy
Dairy Queen shutting the hood. Alex, this is a medical question. Dude gets shot, carotid. He bleeds out right there. He gets in the car. He's dead. And his buddy said he was dead. He gets to the hospital 5-10 minutes later and they resuscitate him. Is that?
I mean, crazier things have happened. I won't say that there's.
Dude, I like this Alex guy. Props to Alex. And he's kind of funny. But they didn't say that they resuscitated him. I don't know. Does resuscitate mean that they just get a heartbeat? They didn't say that they brought him back to life. They just said the reporting is that they were able to get a heartbeat. But that doesn't.
A 0% chance that it happened. But again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, for those things to have happened, different things would have been happening on the ground right behind the table as soon as it happened.
Yeah.
You know, like either his heart was pumping and nobody was putting pressure on his neck. So there would have been, 6 gallons of blood on the ground.
Yeah.
Or, his heart stopped, but then someone would have been giving him CPR too. So it just, those two things don't add up together. There'd either be way, way, way more blood, way more people covered in blood, or somebody immediately starting CPR from the time he was on the ground because he was already dead.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think, I can't tell with the amount of photos that we have or the video footage that we have how much blood is or isn't there. So it's really hard to find like very much video footage, but just in this video of them rushing Charlie to the SUV, it looks like Charlie's got quite a bit of blood on him. That looks like a pretty bloody arm to me. And that looks like a pretty blood-soaked shirt. And I don't know if they have something wrapped around his neck area at the moment or not. It's really hard to see anything. But to me, that looks like, I mean, that looks like quite a bit of blood on him. Yeah, that looks, I mean, that looks pretty bloody.
Out of the realm of possibility either. All right.
Oh, nice. Look. Okay. All right. So he's got some people in his comments at least that are thinking. Rifles World War I correct, sporterized. I mean, I don't know if it's a K98 Mauser, but it's definitely a Mauser 98. Sporterized Mauser 98.
Rifles World War I correct. Sporterized K98 Mauser. No, the rifle in that picture is not a World War I Mauser, brother.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. They didn't have synthetic plastic.
Oh my God. No, they didn't have synthetic plastic in World War I, but they do now for World War I era Mauser 98s. You, come on, man. You're what the fuck? Come on, man. Now, like, maybe he doesn't know, but I gotta think he knows. You know?
Here's what I'd say. Gun to my head or gun to my child's head. You get one guess. Is the FBI's narrative true? I would wager my life on no, it's not true.
Yeah, same.
If I had to make that gamble, it's no every time.
And they do.
As of right now, on, let's see, Saturday, October 4th, gun to my head, would I wager it that Tyler Robinson is at least involved and most likely the shooter? I would wager it on yes. That could change, but right now, gun to my head, I would say yes.
Fake assassination. Nothing else makes sense. I don't know. Maybe at this point, maybe it was all AI. I don't fucking know.
It's crazy. If you chats back, someone said something about the tent hologram.
Charlie Kirk was found dead September 2nd in a hotel room of an overdose, and this is their way of covering it up. Holy crap. What am I reading? Oh my God.
Projecting those
These
door
bot
cameras,
no,
they're
that's
holograms.
paid.
I hadn't even
What
heard
is
that,
happening?
but honestly,
I welcome and love every conspiracy theory because it doesn't matter if some of them are so wazoo and so crazy. What it means is people are trying to figure out the truth and they're pushing back and they're coming up with ideas and like you sift through that, but to just be like,
no, like, okay, that's a good point. All of these questions being asked are welcomed. Here's the problem, and I'm going to keep going over this, is you're not looking for the answers though, dude. Like you're not spending any time trying to find the answers. And the evidence I have of that is that you're still sharing that DQ video that it was shut down. It's the wrong, we know that's the wrong Dairy Queen. You're still running with that days after people have already known that it's done. So you're not even looking for these answers to these questions. That's where the problem comes in. When people are pushing, they're not being objective. They're not being objective. They're not being fair in the way that they're presenting their theories at all. Ryan Mata's guilty of this. Candace is guilty of this. It appears Nate is pretty guilty of this. Now, I don't know how much Nate is like intentionally doing this. I feel like he's just not looking at shit, but pushing that, like to cover this and push this and not look into it very much. Like the fact that you push that Dairy Queen thing and don't even know about that, or don't know that you can buy aftermarket stocks for Mauser 98 fucking rifles from World War I. Like you that's a little irresponsible.
now, again, the FBI has come out and said that photo they showed is not the rifle that is supposedly the one that was used. So
Okay, can somebody please find this for me? Where has the FBI come out and said that that's not the rifle? Because if they said that's not the rifle, there's a fucking, now we for sure have one giant hole in their entire story. So please, somebody tell me where the FBI, or show me where the FBI has come out and stated that that is not the rifle. Because if that's not the rifle, then there's no way that the father recognized that rifle and questioned his son about it. Because that's the only rifle image they've put out.
I don't know what that rifle is. Apparently it was leaked by Steven Crowder in the ATF or something. I'm not sure. Emailed you just now. Okay, got it.
No, Steven Crowder didn't leak a photo of the rifle. Steven Crowder released a DOJ document where they specify that the rifle is a Mauser 98 30-06. Steven Crowder didn't release the photo.
Blood on his hand in a rear camera video. Okay, well, let's see that rear camera video. I'm tired of people saying that, and then it wasn't.
Okay, well, I just saw blood on his arm. I just showed you guys the video of what clearly looks like quite a bit of blood covering his entire arm and his shirt area. So there's definitely a video of him with blood. And keep in mind, guys, I'm doing this video. It took me all of 5 minutes to find that video. Like, this isn't hard. This isn't difficult. If you legitimately have these questions and you're genuine about these questions that you want answered, you can find the answers, or at least something. Like, come on, dude. Okay, it looks like they're just going to keep going over kind of the same points with people that are bringing it up in chat. So I think I'm done with this video. I'm sure there's going to be more that I've got to continue to call out and correct false information that these people are putting out. So appreciate you guys watching. Take it easy. Catch you in the next one.